right. Hey, say hi to Angela, everybody. Wow. She has peeps over there. Angela is a lifelong friend of mine. And tell us a little bit about how you ended up in St. Louis.
Well, this is a good story. When I was 18, I came to, some of you, you're going to relearn some of this because I know you tell the story wrong.
I tell the story correctly. She tells it incorrectly,
When
but I'll let her go today.
When I was 18, I came for the first time to a Kent Henry conference at Life Christian Center, and I came with my aunt and uncle, and then the next year, somebody else came, the next year, somebody else came, and so eventually my whole family was coming, and so I remember the first year, or no, another year, when my family was here, praying with you, and you said...
Where were you from, by the way?
I'm from Kokomo, Indiana. I'm a Hoosier in the right way. Not what y'all think is a Hoosier. I'm that kind of Hoosier.
Not what y'all think.
And so I remember hearing Harry talk about prayer that year when I was 18. That's like the only thing I really remember from that year, and that changing my life. But that's a side subject. Anyway, one year when my family was there, he was praying for me, and he said, I just feel like the Lord is saying something about you coming and living with us, and we've had different people live with us, but I know your family's here, and you're not really like in need that way. I'm like, yeah, okay. And that was the end of it. So a year or two or whatever later, keep coming to the conference. Before we came, I felt like the Lord said, it's time for you to be in a different place. And I felt like I was supposed to talk to Harry. So we came that summer, and at registration table, he's standing there, and I said, hey, I need to talk to you sometime. And so a couple days go by, and I was a nervous wreck. And finally, he's like, okay, let's go for a walk. So we walked around outside at Life Christian Center, and I told him kind of what was God was saying. And he said, well, when you said, I need to talk to you, the Lord said, she's going to ask to move in with you guys. And so that really, I said, well, I guess that's maybe what I'm saying. So anyway, at the time I had written a song, and I was, kind of a worship leader kind of person growing up. And so I wanted to come and be here with Kent Henry and Kim Bollinger and Don and Valerie Dalton and those folks, and just kind of be at this place where worship was, like there were lots of worship things being born here. It was like I don't know how to say it, like an incubation kind of place. That's not the right word. But anyway, that was what was in my heart. And so Donna and Harry let me come and live in their house. And then meanwhile, Brian, who I was engaged to, was looking for a job, and he applied everywhere. And the job he got was in St. Louis. And so he kind of followed my heart here. And so at the end of the summer, instead of going home and getting married, I went home, got married, and we came back and lived here.
Is that not spectacular? I love that. I might like your version better. I don't know. And so, Angela, you came here and you were talking about those other people that were like dynamic songwriters, worship leader people, and that has like put a mark and a stamp on your life. I mean, just talk about the last 20 plus years of leading, writing, and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, so like that summer, I, house sat and babysat and, was just tried to be around those people. There wasn't anything official or whatever, but yeah, I think it's just who we are here, that we birth songs here. So a couple years later, I wrote a couple of songs, and we kind of did one and kind of did the other one, and then one day not Harry, that's you. Kent was here. He wasn't here on staff anymore, but he was visiting, and Harry says, hey, can you do that song? Can you do Faithful God? And so we did Faithful God, and Kent liked it and picked it up, and so we got to eventually have different people know that song in different places, and that was fun. And I've, done a little bit of recording of different songs that I've written, and lots of them are kind of just mile markers for my heart, and maybe aren't that meaningful to other people. And then there's some songs that maybe mean more to other people than they do to me. There's songs I don't even like that I've written that are, somebody else's favorite song.
How is that possible? Like, how do you write something you don't like?
Well, I wrote it and didn't really think it was that great and wouldn't have ever done it again, but I threw it on the CD because why not? And it's Dan Justin's favorite song. He loves that
hilarious.
song, so I don't know.
If I didn't like, never mind. So talk a little bit about your job as a worship leader? You lead worship up here, periodically. Talk about what that's like for you.
Well, honestly, leading worship is kind of just an extension of me. And so I'm not like a super polished, prepared ahead of time, all the details. Like when I come and lead worship, especially because it's my family with me, we're just kind of flown out of what we do.
So you have a large family.
I do have a large family.
You do?
I do.
Like how many people are in your family?
I have 15 children. And
thus the applause in like the 7th and 8th and 9th rows, yes.
And I get to worship with my husband and with 7 of my kids regularly. Ben is at college, so John has stepped up in his place with fear and trembling. But like I get to really do that with them all the time. At G-Hop, we play on Monday night for an hour, and then when we do this here. And it's really great the way that the line between life and worship is very blurry in our world. And so when we, have a knockdown drag out at our house or in the van on the way to G-Hop weekly, we come in and we present this offering.
You go there weekly, but you don't have the fight weekly.
For a while, we kind of did.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we really do. And then we come in and we kind of have that understanding of, number one, we have an enemy that doesn't want us to do this thing. And number two, we're bringing something that's cost us something. And so that thing where King David said, I'm not going to just take your field or your wine press or whatever it was. I'm going to pay you for it because I'm not going to give God something that didn't cost me anything. And so that's our life, is just saying it's expensive. It's hard on Brian to be home with all the little guys. And it's, for John and Nick to be like, okay, I've only been playing my instrument for a year, but, we're going to throw them out there. And, the girls, sometimes there's sore throats or there's emotions or, just the getting up in front of people and saying, we're just going to do it. And I think we've learned about sacrificing and saying, we're going to give God what we have. It's not impressive, but hey, we're here, and this is what we have, and knowing that the Lord is pleased with our offering because it's ours, and we're giving it.
You see, I think that's the impressive part. Talk a little bit about just what does go on in those Monday night sets at G-Hop. Just talk about your prayer, your prayer worship leading there at G-Hop on Monday nights.
Okay, so Jason Leaker is our prayer leader. Yeah, it's awesome. And so we come in and we worship the Lord, and then we pray, which means he prays, and then we sing in agreement with whatever we prayed, and then he prays some more, and then we sing in agreement with him. And sometimes other people come up and they pray, and we sing back whatever they prayed. And so there's just this kind of affirming and agreeing with thing that happens. And again, it's not necessarily very impressive, but it's sincere. We're singing to the Lord, and we're saying, he's praying, God, fill your people with wisdom and revelation, and let them know you, and let your spirit come. And we sing, God, let your spirit come and give us revelation. And so there's, and it's only an hour, so we have to really go for it. But we're saying, God, come. So we had this prophetic word a while ago when Bill Greenman and Chris Dupre were here, and he didn't know anything about us, Bill Greenman, and he says, I feel like the Lord's calling you the Von Snipe family singers. Yeah. And, when there's like that prophetic play on words thing, and like this snipe thing is like, that's a hidden gunman who takes careful aim and is in kind of a hidden place, but is very accurate, And we're like, yeah, that's us. We're in this kind of hidden place, and we're praying with accuracy, and we're fighting the battle, just the little battle he's given us, but we're doing it, So.
That's awesome. That's Angela.